I heard an interview of Bill Hader on Conan where Hader described his favorite Simpsons joke. He said it was so good it made him angry. Tim Frick is so good he makes me angry. We have a Tim Frick guitar at Lark Street. It's a little brown guitar. It's easy to miss in a shop full of guitars designed to demand your attention. But if you give it a look, it draws you in. It's like one of those albums that 15 years later, after countless listens, you still hear something new. I've handled Tim's guitar I don't know how many times now, and every time I pick it up, I see some new, incredibly tasteful detail that flies in the face of the CNC age. I always ponder it for a moment, I look at it, and I always think, you son of a bitch. I hope you enjoy the interview with Tim. The dude is a master. And we're live with Tim Frick. Tim, how are you doing, man?
Doing well.
Do we need to can we talk about mustaches just real quickly? Oh, you
Sure.
oh, hold on. I just lost you again. I got to have that window open apparently.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm glad I didn't lose you completely. So, I love the mustache.
Yes.
Is this a normal thing, or is this a pandemic thing, or is this like, are you
Well,
trying it out?
it's an occasional thing. Sometimes, I was shaving the other night and I got this part and I got up to here and I just
That
gave up. So,
that's it, yeah.
you know,
So, you have a significant other, right?
yeah.
And when you exited the bathroom and you made your first appearance, was what kind of reaction did you get?
It was kind of like, ooh,
Oh, okay.
he
All
likes
right.
it.
I like this.
It's cool.
All
Yeah.
right. So,
It wasn't. It's fine.
so I think I gotta ask you. We spent some time together at the Gallup thing. We did that whole wood. Had you out for Woodstock and stuff. I don't know if I ever really got much of a background on you. Like, were
Hmm.
you did you start out? Did you do an apprenticeship? Did you go to school, or were you kind of a self starter? And if you were a self starter, kind of how did that what did that look like?
Yeah, self starter. I started making guitars in high school. So I started playing bass when I was 14, and then because I had been making things out of wood pretty much my whole life.
Can I
My
can I
dad.
stop you just for a second? So was
Sure.
was sharpening on your radar before you even got into guitars, or was it, or was tool
Mm,
were tools kind of on your radar before guitars?
well, yeah, way before.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like, my dad gave me a pocket knife probably when I was 3 or 4. I remember closing it on my thumb one time.
Uh huh.
Can't. Probably way too young to be walking around with a pocket knife, but whittling just. And then I got into wood carving and like Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, wood shop in junior high and high school. And then I started playing bass and just put the two things together. I ordered a Stumac fretless neck, and I made a body for it, and then I made a neck, and then I made a neck through, and you just
What year would you say that was that you got the ordered the fretless neck and made the body?
80, 89 maybe,
Oh my God!
88, 89.
So the Stu Mac catalog was just a thin little. It's just a thin little thing.
Yeah.
So you made the body, and then you made the neck. So you're getting into, like, throwing a truss rod into stuff and getting kind of into the more, people tend to get intimidated by the neck. So you were not intimidated, and you decided, I'm going to learn this truss rod stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had a book about making electric guitars.
the
It tells you how to do it.
that Melvin, was it Melvin?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I had
Yep.
that one. I never wound up making anything based on that book, but I remember thinking it was well written. Like, it was,
Yeah.
there was some good information in there that I think a
Mhm.
lot of the other books of the day kind of glossed over. Um,
Mhm.
so I can't remember his name, but it is a good. I think it's still probably a pretty good book for getting started. So you go and you build this, and you're like, something snapped in you, and you decided you wanted to have a career kind of doing it, or did it kind of happen more organically than that? Did you walk into a shop and
Well, yeah. Well, that happened later. I mean, so I made electric guitars for 4 or 5 years, and then I took Tom Rebecki's archtop class, probably 94, 95, and then I started making archtops. That's how I got into that. And that was, pretty kind of pre-internet still. There wasn't Bob Benedetto's book had just come out, so there wasn't a ton of, you couldn't go online and just watch YouTube videos all day. So seeing actually someone make a guitar start to finish in 1 week, every step of the process it explained a lot to me, and it gave me a good understanding of how it's done, and also that it is doable.
Yeah, it's
a
amazing.
lot of the fear out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of steps involved in building a guitar, and there's a lot of fear involved in each step. Like it's easy to get bogged down and think you're never going to get through to the last step. Like I think for a lot of people that kind of get started, having that, seeing it done and be more of a process, a complete process, is pretty powerful for a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Rebecca and. So was that a course? Was he doing a school, or was that a like come hang out in my workshop and?
Yeah, that's a class. I don't know if he's still doing it. I went to one. It might have been the last one he did. It was maybe a couple of years. He may still be doing it, but it's this thing he does every year. It's a week long. There maybe have been 5 people in that class. It's pretty small, and it's just early morning to whenever you quit in the day for however long it takes. I think it was 7 days.
So are you as a student, are you start to finishing a guitar in that time, or at least getting it into the white, or is it
Well, I'm never working on one guitar every day until start. I mean, there's always, I've always got more than one guitar going and repair stuff mixed in with that.
No, I meant at the school. Was he?
Oh,
was he getting people to in the white?
Oh, no. We weren't. It wasn't a hands-on thing.
It wasn't hands-on.
No,
it was watch me do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and take as many pictures as you want. Copy his templates, his jigs, whatever. It's just a great sharing of information.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you, based on the Rebecca class, that's where you switched from doing kind of solid body electrics, and you started doing your own archtops and started going down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in San Francisco at this point, or?
No, I'm in Portland. Moved up here in August.
No, I mean back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was still living it. Oh no, was I? Yeah, I was in the Bay. I think I was going to school in either Santa Barbara, or I was at Cal Arts for 2.5 years. I went to music school. I got a degree in jazz bass, and then making guitars whenever I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like me coming home in the summer at my parents' garage.
So you were garage shopping it for a while just to get going.
Still am.
Well, I mean, yeah. But so, and then when did you start looking at doing some repair to kind of like keeping the mix and kind of like get your day filled with guitars rather than it kind of being?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think I was 25. I had just graduated from college. I was living in San Francisco. I had a job at a furniture shop, which ended abruptly. That's a whole nother story. But so I was unemployed for a while. I had this electric bass that I made. I took it down to Real Guitars to try to sell it so I could pay my rent.
Uh-huh.
And the guy up front, Ben, he took a look at it and he said, "Hey, Brower, check this out." And Gary came over and looked at it and he said, "Are you looking for a job?" And I said, "Okay, yes, I am."
Today I am.
And yeah.
So Gary took you on,
Yeah.
and you and you were just like that was basically the start of your like full time career in guitars. Do you think, or
Yeah. Trial by fire. As far as repair goes, I think I had made 60 some odd electric and a few arch tops
Mhm.
by then, but I hadn't done much repair at all.
Yeah,
And as you know, it's quite a different. There's a lot of overlap, but it's a whole different set of skills.
it is a whole different set of skills, and I can, as a custom builder, I can tell that you've spent time in a repair like guys will do building and they'll do a little bit of repair on the side kind of thing, but I can tell just by looking at your fret ends that you've spent time actually repairing, not like
Mm.
you know it's pretty obvious in looking at your guitars that you're kind of a double threat that way. But so what do you and I was always curious about that. So uh did you ever have like so have you always been kind of a double trajectory, or have you, are you kind of going just whichever way the work takes you, or what's your kind of how are you feeling about all that stuff, I guess?
Well, the last 18 years or so, repair, I've been full time repair, but I've also had a shop at home, or at least access to a shop
Uh-huh.
for most of that time. So, I've always been making instruments, and that's always been kind of what I've wanted to do more than repair. But as you know, it's tough. Making them is one thing, selling them is another.
Yeah, I mean,
And repair is steady work.
it's steady work. Yeah, it's it's available, and it also like it can be important to inform the work, in construction too. I think like
Oh,
you do,
totally.
yeah, you see other designs fail, or you see, one of the things in repair we see a lot is a lot of indie builders that just have no idea what they're doing, and they're trying some crazy stuff, and
Yeah.
you get a sense that way, like if you thought about having some kind of wild recurve on your guitar or something like that, you see somebody else's wild recurve, maybe you're like, all right, normal recurve is fine.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of guitars come in that the woodworking's great. Maybe this guy was a cabinet maker or a furniture maker, and he started making guitars, and the woodworking's tight. But then you look at the frets, and you look at the fingerboard, and it's just. I think fretwork is something that a lot of guitar makers kind of don't spend enough time on.
Yeah.
It's kind of this last thing
Yeah.
before you put the finish on.
I can understand it too, because it is the last thing, and you're probably like, as you get to that, like I've built a couple mandolins, and like that kind of chain of incompetence that moves through a build, where you're just like, you're not happy with this one little thing at the very beginning, but you still got to get it done, and then you almost got like this love-hate relationship with the instrument probably by the time that you're getting done with it, and they're probably just like, oh, hammering frets in. But so you were getting back to the repair trajectory. You were at Gary's for a number of years, and then you wound up moving up to Palo Alto and
Well,
rubbing
yeah,
aprons with Frank.
yeah, I started going down there a day or two a week for about a little over 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right before I moved up to Portland. And that was, I think, Brian Michael. He was, I think he sent me an email saying, because they were looking for people,
Mm-hmm.
because it's, as you know, it's tough to find people who do this work, and that have experience, and that, in the case of Griffin, can afford to live in Palo Alto,
Yeah.
So I ended up going down there, and, it's, you ever been down?
I never have. No, I went and I interviewed at Santa Cruz once in the '90s, and they wanted to pay me $9 an hour to go live in Santa Cruz, and so that didn't work out. But I have no experience in that area, just trying to make it as a Luth down there. But so what? So you got on, and did when you went there, did you kind of know the history of the place and kind of its
Yeah.
Frank's place in the repair world?
Oh, yeah. I mean, frets.com was one of the early resources available online. I spent countless hours on that.
And that,
So
yeah,
looking up stuff. And, I looked at it as an opportunity, just a day a week or two, to go down and hang out with Frank Ford
yeah.
and pick his brain.
So what
I ended up
after?
learning a ton of stuff.
How long were you there?
A little over 3 years.
Yeah. So was
Yeah.
it in that brain picking? Was it like everything you hoped for, or everything you hoped for and more, or?
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, the amount of, okay, so working at Gary's up in San Francisco, I guess a lot of the older Martins just ended up at Griffin. We
Yeah.
didn't get as many of them. And so, in 17 years there, I've probably seen one 1800s Martin.
Hmm.
Like any random day of the week or year at Griffin, there's going to be at least one of them there. So just having access to those instruments and to Frank and Richard, who just know everything about him. You can ask them any question. What year did they stop doing the joint on the heads, the dart joint
Yeah,
on
the
the
dart
heads?
joint. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gonna rattle it right off, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I that's one thing I've never I can't crack books on guitars at all. Like it just makes me sleep. I wish I could hang out
Well,
with a guy like that and just kind of get it through osmosis, because that's the only
that's
way I could.
because you hate guitars.
I do hate guitars, kind of. I lovingly hate them. So at Griffin for 3 years, and you're like plugging away, and did you get into any of the kind of machinist stuff that Frank is getting up to now, or did you see like did
No.
you develop any kind of love for any of those kind of like side hustles and stuff that Frank's?
Well, okay. So when I was there, he made. I don't know if you saw this. He made a bass banjo.
I saw the stuff, yeah.
It was insane. He made the neck. He made the rim. He machined all the parts.
Yeah.
He made the tuners.
Yes.
These weird planetary gear tuners. It was just I don't know how many hours he put into that thing. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, machining, and that's a whole nother. If I had another lifetime, I would want to learn about that stuff. But
Yeah. It
a
it,
little.
it it does seem like one of those things. Like I thought maybe I'd dip my toe in it. I watched some YouTube videos on it, and it was like, yeah, it's like if I had another lifetime and I could start out at like knowing absolutely nothing and having this mountain of information to try to get through, like maybe,
Yeah.
but yeah, not this lifetime. So now we just Emmett McCusker says Melvin Hiscock. That's right. That's
Yeah.
the guy's name.
That's
Um,
that's good.
so then you worked for Frank for 3 years, and then that's where you
Yeah.
decided to move up to Oregon.
Yeah. Well, I had been living in a house in Potrero Hill in the city, which had a garage and a backyard, but then the owner's son moved in, and I got the boot. So I ended up in a really small apartment with my girlfriend, and San Francisco rents. There was just no way we could stay, so we had to
Yeah.
go somewhere. So now we got a house. I got a big garage for my shop.
Well, I think that let's. So you're up in Portland. What shop are you working at in Portland? If people want to are you working through a shop?
Yeah, Portland Fretworks. I'm there
Okay.
2 days a week.
And if people want to reach out to you for repair, how do they get you?
Just my email.
Your email, which
Yeah,
is
timfrick9000 at Gmail.
So do you know any of the previous 8,999 Tim Fricks, or is it?
Nope.
No? Okay, good. So Emmett McCusker says Rebecca has stopped teaching. So let's do some shop tour stuff.
Okay.
Should we start with your wood stash, or
Oh, the stash.
how do you want
Okay.
to talk about this?
Okay, I'll flip the camera around.
Let's do that.
Okay, so
Oh
first
shit! Look at this.
you can see
58. Oh yeah,
it's 58% in here. A little wet.
a little damp.
So I built a cabinet here that's sealed up against the wall. And look at that. Can you see that?
I see 42, and I think that's
42.
I think you could build at that.
I got a little dehumidifier in there.
Oh, look at that.
You know, I got all my wood. Over here is kind of, got some necks. Got my spruce and maples, cedar, walnut, neck stuff, brace stock.
So you're not curing there. You're just keeping that acclimated for a reasonable humidity, right?
Yeah, I just keep all the wood that I can fit in there. Anything that is going to be a guitar in the next year or two, or 3 or 4 if I can fit it in there. And also stuff that I'm working on. At least until I get the top and the back glued to the sides, I'll have it in the dry box.
Yeah. Hey, to your left there, I see a guitar hanging. Is that your spray area, or is that just a curing area?
That's just hanging up. This is a little thing I started. Some big leaf maple.
Yeah.
That I got at Gilmer.
Oh, that's right. You're right next to Gilmer now.
Yeah, I can ride my bike down there.
Oh shit. So what's their situation like? Is it like a big warehouse where you can go in and just kind of go through the stacks, or is it kind of like off limits?
Yeah, there's a big kind of a big place that I don't know if you're allowed to really browse around in, but there's also another room which is a lot of it is guitar wood.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff that's cut for guitars. It's all sealed up and numbered, and you can go in and just pick out what you want.
Cool.
They got good stuff there, man.
Hey, Chris wanted to talk about pencils. I think we'll do that in a little bit, but
Okay.
I had a question for you. Is it possible to get a good modern pencil sharpener? What are you using for a pencil sharpener these days?
I don't know. I think they all kind of suck. I've got this cool little orange Bakelite thing that I use.
That's what you're using?
That's what I use right now. And I sharpen the blade, make sure it's sharp.
Well, okay. I would imagine if you sharpen that blade, that thing's ready for action. So
it works pretty good.
Okay. So moving along on the shop tour, let's talk about that bench. Did you build that bench, or is that a store-bought bench?
No, I built this bench. Oh wait, flip it. Okay, there it is. So it's about 4 inches thick, 24 inches wide, 7 feet long. Its top is solid birch. I read a couple books about workbench building by Chris Schwartz. You know that guy?
I don't. I'm not up on workbenches, other than that I know when I see one like yours, I get excited.
He used to have a really good woodworking blog. He was the editor for one of the woodworking magazines. But he wrote a couple books about workbenches, and it's, I ended up making a bench that is quite different than what I would have otherwise made.
Mm-hmm.
Real simple. The legs are flush with the top. Hold fast here. You can clamp things to the side for working on edges.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all your bench dogs for the vise clamping boards. And okay, shooting board right here. This is something that I really recommend having. I got it on the left side of my bench set up, I have a left-handed shooting plane, just because that's kind of fits with how my bench is set up. But you want to square up the end of a board. Boom, you want to trim something real quick. It's instead of walking to a disc sander, a lot of times because I don't have a disc sander.
Uh-huh.
This is a really great thing to have. It's super handy. It's always there, always ready to go.
No, that looks cool. So is that a shooting plane because it's got an angled handle or what?
Yeah, it's
Holy moly!
Yeah.
I made up some different things. What's oh, you got an adjustable mouth on that?
Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it sits in this groove,
Uh-huh.
and it goes back and forth. Yeah.
I'd figured out that it went back and forth, but the the handle like that is that like a Lee Valley or what is that
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, this is the Veritas.
Oh man.
I think Lee Nielsen makes one too, but at the time they didn't make a left-handed version.
Uh-huh.
So,
So are you left-handed or do you have a reason for southpaw in that?
well, kind of. I'm partly left-handed. I do a lot of things left-handed,
Mm-hmm.
but just kind of because I have my vise on
Yeah.
the right-hand side, and there was this, because then I can have long boards
Mm-hmm.
going out, being supported by the bench. You have this on there. It just fits with how my bench is set up.
So let's since we talked about the planes, let's talk about the sharpening really quick. Do you have more that you want to say about the bench?
Well, yeah, a little bit. So I
Okay,
got
keep going on the bench.
planes are down here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got about half. I don't know. My planes are about half Japanese, half Western. I like to use both for different applications, different things. My chisels, as you can see, are almost all Japanese.
Uh-huh.
But
Is that because of the quality of the steel, or is that because of kind of the hollow grind that they like to do? Or
well, I think there's just no advantage to a Western chisel. There's no reason except that they're cheaper. Maybe, I don't know.
huh?
Yeah, I mean, Japanese chisels the steel's better. They're way easier to sharpen. But here's another thing I want to show you real quick. So I set up this. Okay. Can you see that?
I can.
The vise.
Tilt down just a skosh. There we go.
Okay. So this is the Veritas. They used to make it. They don't make it anymore. It's a copy of the old Emmer pattern maker's vise. It's got the quick release, and it also flips up,
Oh.
and it rotates.
Oh.
So I can clamp a guitar in here like this,
Uh-huh.
and
Get your
work
scrape
on the
on.
sides,
Yeah.
and then I can
Oh man.
work at it like this, move it around.
Dude, that's uptown. That is uptown.
Yeah, that vise is
So that's
pretty sweet.
that's a pattern maker device you said?
Yeah, it's what's it called? The Veritas. But they stopped making them because they were, I think, they were like $600.
Yeah, I remember those, yeah.
Which, for a vise, it's a lot of money. But I guess just not enough people were buying them.
Yeah, but honestly I can see why you've got one. I mean,
Oh,
unless you're gonna go to all the trouble of getting vacuum fixtures, for hold downs for scraping and stuff like that. That's perfect. And vacuum stuff isn't cheap either. So
yeah.
So what you want to talk about sharpening now?
Oh yeah, okay. So it doesn't usually look this clean. it's usually flooded with, stone residue, and okay, but I cleaned up a little bit for this video. So I've just got 3 main stones, 1,000, 2,000. These are Shapton, and 8,000 Takenoko. And I got my water thing here. I got a little squirt bottle. You can just, squirt it up, and then sharpen one. And I don't know if you can see, but the height, the finished stone, because I'll pretty much only ever use the finishing stone for the back of a chisel. Occasionally I use the medium stone, but like if it's a brand new tool and I need to flatten the back, initially I'll use all 3. But see that it cleared the height because this stone is higher than that other one.
Yeah.
The back
Well, are those stones low because you've just worn them down, or?
They're partly.
Hey, going back up the block that's on top of your water tub there, is that what you're using to true up your stones?
Yeah, this is a piece of glass.
Okay. With
a piece of wood glued to it, and I just put, this is what, 180 grit or 320.
Okay.
And, it's a good idea, a good habit to get into after you sharpen, flatten your stones.
Yeah.
That way they're always ready to go, and you're more likely to come over and sharpen your tools.
Yeah. It's frustrating to stop. It's frustrating enough to stop what you're doing because you realize that you could be sharper without coming over and having to screw around with a workstation that isn't ready to go. You're absolutely right. So let's see. You got a couple guides up there? Are you using guides, or are you freeballing?
I use this one for Western plain blades mostly. For the Japanese tools, the bevel is just a flat plane. There's no micro bevel.
Yeah.
And the back is hollow ground, so very little steel is touching the stone, and most of the front bevel is soft iron. So it's So do you ever have to re-hollow the back of those Japanese stones, or do you ever get down there? The chisels, well, with the chisel, you just if you start running out of flat in the middle there, just kind of work the edge. On a plain blade, they're wider. You can tap them out. You can kind of hit them from this side with a hammer and bend it out a little bit to recreate the flat.
I've never taken a hammer to my chisel, but there's been times that I wanted to. Let's see. So, what's that to the left there? What's that little hold down?
This thing?
Yeah.
That's a natural stone. A friend of mine actually got this he went to the mine in Kyoto and brought it back for me.
So what is that for? Is that the Nagar stone, or?
This is just a very fine finishing stone. It's probably around 20,000.
Oh, so that's like kind of your strop phase then, or something
I
along
don't
those
use
lines?
this for everything. If I'm finished planing something, or I need cutting some crumbly end grain with the chisel, I need a super sharp edge.
Yeah.
I'll use this, but day to day, I'll finish with the 8,000.
So 1,000, 2,000, and then 8,000, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So no 4,000.
No.
All right. I'm keeping track of this because I need a new intermediate stone, and I haven't decided what to get, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I've been using this setup for a long time. It's great, and also I have one of these. It's just a little microscope kind of thing. It has a light on it. You can get a really good close-up view of your edge.
Oh, good.
So what I did was I, go hit the 1,000 grit and then hit the 2,000 grit, and go maybe this one side to side, and this straight on, and count how many strokes it takes until these scratches disappear.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Completely. Yeah, and it's Because otherwise, you could be just wasting a lot of time.
Yeah, wasting a lot
And
of arm hair
steel
too.
and stone, you know.
So let's take a look at your grinder. It doesn't look like you've got any kind of fancy
Yeah,
setup.
it's not. It's just a whatever, you know.
I
I
mean,
got a little.
you're not even like using a white stone or kind of what angle are you liking for the bench grinder?
Oh, I don't even know what that angle is.
Good.
It's it's steep enough that it'll work because I use this with um just my Western plane blades mostly, and maybe a couple chisels. But it's deep enough that I can, or shallow enough that I can come back and increase the angle. I've got one of these things here, a little you put the blade in and then just push the like a little stop. It sets the angle. So for different planes, I have different angles. Like for a you know.
So all told, if a young person wanted to get into sharpening, I mean, you're looking at like probably a $20 bench grinder used at a yard sale. You got like probably a couple $100 in water stones, right?
Yeah.
And then like you're not breaking the bank with fancy like a fancy setup here, and you're getting things real sharp.
Yeah, yeah. Real sharp, real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these stones they're pretty aggressive, and if you keep them flat, you keep them fresh, they do a great job.
Have you
in a short amount of time.
Have you? What's that?
In a short amount of time.
Yeah. Have you ever messed around with any of the kind of the, I got one of those flattening stones, but the one with the grooves cut in it, and I was like, aren't I making the aren't I making that thing unflat? Like I like your glass block. I feel like that's.
Yeah.
I feel like that's.
This thing is okay, but then you have to buy the powder, the carborundum powder or whatever it is that you sprinkle on. It works well, but you have to buy that stuff. It's more stuff to buy. This is a piece of glass with some sandpaper on it.
Yeah, got plenty of sandpaper around. All right, so let's see. Moving to the right, you got like a little benchtop thing.
Yeah, I got a little drill press here. With the milk crate that I sit on when I'm using. Very low tech. I got a little joiner here, 6-inch Rockwell, old school.
I can't believe you have a. What are you just getting it close with that, and then you're going back to the shooting board?
Yeah, I just use this for hog and stuff. I would never.
That's not your finished joint.
Up. I always plane my joints, but I've had this joiner since junior high.
Well, it's good that it's still got a home. Oh, whoa! You got a too legit to quit table saw back in there. Is that a cabinet saw?
Yeah, it's an old Powermatic.
Before the mustard yellow. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is probably from the '60s. A friend of mine got it from a high school wood shop in Oakland. He gave it to me a while back. It's heavy.
So you moved that up from the Bay Area?
Yeah.
You have any designs do you press that into service or?
Yeah, mostly for fret slots.
Yeah.
As far as guitar making, that's the only thing I use it for cutting fret slots. And this Laguna 14-inch bandsaw, very useful.
Yeah. Yeah, they Laguna really stepped up their game recently. I noticed. Yeah. I mean, they were always high-end stuff, but they stepped up like kind of like that. Their 14-inch offerings seem like they. Does that have the Euro blade guides, or is that ball bearing guide?
It has this. There's like a ceramic disc behind this. I've had this since probably 04, 05. It's an old one, but it's been great.
Yeah.
And ever since I got this saw, I stopped using the table saw for a lot of, so much you can do with the bandsaw that you would otherwise do on
because
the table saw.
Because you're getting that straight a cut.
Yeah, and I got a 1/4-inch blade on here now, but usually I'll have this. It's the Resaw King. It's a 3/4-inch blade. It's got the carbide tips that are welded on. You can you got a fresh one of those, you can cut like 12-inch oak,
Yeah.
put a straight edge on it, and it's dead flat.
Cool. Is that
Yeah,
lumber is that lumber that was to your left there, or?
there's a little bit of lumber, just just whatever stuff I had.
Cool.
Some Brazilian rosewood.
So where are you finishing at?
I'll show you. Right out here.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I got a thing here.
Uh-huh.
I just hang the guitar on that
Uh-huh.
and let her rip.
Okay. Well, you and I are going to talk after this. I think I know some people in Portland. I think I can get you some booth time. Unless you like, I mean, do you feel like someday like the old Jurassic Park a gnat, be able to bring a gnat back to life from drilling into your guitar finish?
It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
So we've been going at this for 40 minutes. I knew that was going to breeze by like a summer day. I'd like to open it up to anybody that's in the chat. Start asking those questions. We already had a pencil question, and I wanted to ask you on the pencil front. You showed me, you came out when you were staying in New York, you were like, I got to go to the pencil store. And I was like, the pencil store? And I thought you were joking, but no, you trundled off to the pencil store and came back with some crazy pencils. The one that stuck out was the one that was, you could write in pencil, but then somehow it transferred in ink.
Copying pencil, yeah.
Copying pencil, that's what that's called?
Yeah, they used to use them for shipping labels, and I think for some legal documents you can. Yeah. It's graphite with aniline dye mixed in it.
Uh-huh.
So you can write, and then you get it. What they would do, they would get some like tissue paper, it's really thin paper, and then they would get it wet and put it on it, and it would kind of activate the dye, and that would transfer onto the other paper. And so you get a backward copy of a. It's they don't make them anymore.
They don't make them anymore. That I was just wondering, like, would that be great for like? I wonder if that would be good for like, if it would have any use for like doing shims on a dovetail or something like that. If there was some.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what it would be great for. There's got to be something because.
It'd be good. It'd be good to bring them back. I mean, that
Yeah.
pencil. That pencil's too damn fancy to
Yeah.
be left in the dustbin of history.
Yeah,
I think.
like for a minute I was trying to maybe do receipts with them.
Uh-huh.
Have a little press.
Uh-huh.
Say, here you go. But
that's pretty artisanal. I don't know. I mean, you're in Portland now, so maybe people would really get into that. So
maybe here.
Has anybody got any questions for Tim in the chat? I don't know. Let me just go back. Do you want to show off any of your pencils? Do you have any other pencils out in the shop?
Well, I don't have anything too crazy. Okay, I got a couple here.
Uh-huh.
Most of the good ones are inside, but okay, this is one of my favorites. This is a. Oh shit! This one. This is a Ticonderoga.
Uh-huh.
Plastic ferrule.
Yes.
World War II.
Yes.
Metal rationing.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's made out of Adirondack spruce, isn't it?
Who knows?
My understanding was that Martin got run. I'd heard a rumor that Martin had gotten run out of Adirondack spruce by Ticonderoga. Like they cut it all down for pencils.
Really?
Yeah, it was an old rumor I heard. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Most pencils are Western red cedar.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the modern ones are definitely Western red, but yeah, I think the old Ticonderogas were Adirondack. But yeah, just hold it up and give a little tap there. See if it's got a tap tone. Is there anything else you want to show us? Any cool? Oh, I got a set. I got a segment. What is your widget? What's your widget?
Okay, yeah, I picked out a few things, just a couple tools that some people might not know about that I have found useful.
That's good.
Okay, so um, here let me try to put this camera in a stand. Hold on. Ah. Okay. Um, so the first thing I want to show you is double locking caliper.
Double locking caliper.
Yeah. So it's useful for measuring the thickness of a neck with the strings on. So you can undo this screw and put it down, tighten it, and then you undo this one, and then it.
Oh, and it go.
Yeah,
It's
and
got
then
a registration. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So
I bet. Yeah.
if you're trying to duplicate a neck, you don't want to take the strings off. It's kind of handy to have.
I think that's a good one. I can already think of or I can't already think of, but if that was around in the shop, I think it'd get pressed into service in a couple different things. It's amazing when you have something like that around. Like it's just like sitting there in the back of your mind, and all of a sudden you think about it.
Yeah, little things like that you don't use every day, but when you need them, it's just yeah. I got to use it.
What else you got?
Okay, dowel plate.
Dowel plate?
Yes, so in repair we use a lot of dowels, right?
Uh-huh.
So how do you make a dowel? You chuck it in a drill, put it on the belt sander, twirl it around. Here you can take, I'll just show you like this. Okay. And you can take a square piece of wood, and you just and you get.
Look at that. So.
Yeah. So you can make dowels out of any kind of wood you want, any size.
So has that got like a burr on it? How is that cutting? Or are you just forcing it through?
Yeah, it's hardened steel. The top corner is sharp, and it flares out a little bit on the back.
Oh, okay.
The back side. So the back side's a little bit larger diameter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you can just, you can make mahogany dowels, maple dowels, rosewood, whatever you want.
Paul wants to know where is that like a MSC thing? Can you
This is a Lee Nielsen.
Oh, Lee Nielsen.
This one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's just super handy to have around because I use it all the time.
Do they have? I mean, is that what you see in sizes is there? Or do they have metric sizes and stuff like that too? Or
they might.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you can get them if Lee Nielsen doesn't make them. Somebody does. Or you could just make them yourself. I mean, the old school way of doing it is get a piece of metal, drill a hole in it.
So Paul wanted to know about Nagar stones.
I don't really use them that much. I don't know a ton about them.
The times that I used them, I didn't know anything about them either, and I felt like I was sharpening with whatever the grit of the Nagar stone was for the first little bit, and I felt like I was going backwards in grits. So I don't know. So you don't know.
It can be useful. I've used them to, like, if your stone glazes over a little bit,
you
just kind of brush it up a little bit, and like creating a slurry. Some people who are really into sharpening, they say it creates a wave of grit ahead of and it kind of ever so slightly rounds over the edge. I don't know.
So, and he said, And this is an interesting question too. So you don't soak your stones all the time. You let them
Never.
dry out. It, wa-
Yeah.
I was always brought up saying your stones will crack if you keep them dry, but so that's not
Oh,
your experience.
no, no. So the two Shapton stones, they don't soak up water at all. You
Okay.
don't. You just splash a little on and they're good to go. The Takenoko will soak it up. You could soak it. I don't know
Are
what
those
it was
synthetic
for.
stones or are those
Those are
natural?
synthetic, and the one natural stones they say don't soak them.
Okay.
It's they say it's not good for them.
Oh, okay. What about
Yeah.
have you messed around with any of the new diamond stones that they're coming out with?
Not really.
A friend of mine was saying they're getting diamond up into like pretty high grits.
Huh.
I don't know if it's worth checking out, but
Yeah, I have a coarse diamond. I don't know who makes it, but um, kind of a nice thing to have if you want to just really hack on. If you get a chip in your blade, or you want to change a bevel angle, or
yeah,
it's getting you a
it'll
little
hog it.
bit. Yeah.
Danny West of West Guitar Works wants to know if you have any experience with PMV 11. I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, the steel. Yeah, you know what? I had a PMV 11 blade for my shooting plane, and it had a pretty low angle because it's a shooting plane used a lot for end grain shooting end grain.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What's
I
what's its claim to fame? Is it like soft and easy to get up, or is it hard and holds the edge
it's
forever?
hard as fuck, and it's super because there's hardness, and then there's sharpenability. Hardness and toughness.
Yeah.
You can have a really hard steel that will abrade on a stone pretty easily. But the PMV 11 is super hard to sharpen. It just feels like glass on the stone.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, it didn't hold an edge that well. At a lower angle, I steepened it up a little bit and it did better. But I wasn't that stoked on it.
Okay. Alex Jones wants to know: are you a neck jig guy? Do you simulate string tension when you're fretting?
For basses, you have to. Yeah. Guitars, I don't.
Okay.
But because I used to make a lot of electric basses, and if I'm doing a refret on a bass, every time because it just moves too much, and you know, I'd rather not be guessing what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So you're saying that what you get with string tension is not remotely what you get like without string tension on the bass. So you're
Yeah,
leveling the frets with a string tension simulator.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah. Do you use
uh
electric for?
I just
Didn't you just get one,
I
or
just got one. I had some early ones or I had an early one from Stu. It just didn't come with enough information. Uh-oh, you just froze. Okay. Yeah, we dropped the call for a sec.
All right.
Um, so it didn't come with enough information to really know what I was doing with it, and this is back in the
Hmm.
'90s. And then Dan sent me this new one, and I used it because I had a twisted neck on a Goodall it would twist under string tension, but it would be completely flat without string tension. So in order to plane it
Yeah.
out, I had to simulate the
Yeah.
twist. And kind of
Yeah.
the old way I would do it would be to grab it and kind of force it into a twist and try to sand it while I'm like
Yeah.
monkey fooling with it.
Yeah.
And so on this one, I just had two spool clamps on the very end of it that I tacked down. One was pushing down on the peg head, and the other one was pushing up on the other side, so it was twisting it. And then I had another jack that was in the middle that was simulating the relief. And
Hmm.
it did it, and by
Yeah.
God, like it made my job easier for having it for sure. I probably would have maybe passed on the job without it, and maybe I would have sent it. Maybe I would have sent it to somebody with a plec or something. But
Yeah.
but I mean, before this, and I'm gonna give. I told Dan I'd give it a fair shake, and I hope on my channel to get a bunch of people that are like, daily driving with neck jigs to come
Hmm.
on and really line me out on how to set it up, go through their experiences of why they do it and stuff. Because for me, you know, time is money, and spending a lot of time putting a guitar into a
Yeah,
neck jig, it's gotta
it
it's
does
gotta
take a
be.
lot more.
I will say it was nice because I wound up beveling the frets with it in the neck jig, and it was nice having that, like, the guitar is just strapped down,
Yeah.
like it's just one less thing. When you're bevel, you hate it when the beveling block comes out and skips over the frets, and now you've got, like, like file marks in the top of your brand new
Yeah,
frets.
yeah.
So it's nice having at least the guitar held down, so you're less likely to have that happen for trying to
Mhm.
hold on to it. But do you, I mean, which do you have a neck jig, or you have it
Yeah,
on the shop?
I have one that I made. It's in the corner over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it works. It's kind of the same thing as the Stumac one, just made out of wood.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll get a couple guys on that are gonna line me out on it, and try to get me to see the light. Like, I feel like before, I felt like, like, I get the board flat, I put the frets in, I level the frets without string tension, and then kind of, whatever happens from Mother Nature and gravity and all that kind of shit. Like, I just feel like, or I felt like, a lot of hit records were made with normal guitars. So, but
but
time. What's that?
think of how many more would be made.
Or how? Yeah, they'd all be
Just,
double hits.
yeah.
Um, well, we got about 4 minutes left. Do you have anything you want to tell people? You got any messages for the young Luths out there?
Well, um, I think. Well, I think my approach to guitar making and guitar repair. See, I come from a woodworking background, and a lot of guitar people don't, and so they end up not knowing about a lot of tools and techniques that can be really helpful.
Yeah,
So I would just say learn about woodworking and get a good workbench with good. It's all about how do you hold your work, Uh,
well, I will say on that too. Like, I went a long time without knowing how to sharpen, an embarrassing long time
yeah,
without knowing how to
I
sharpen a
did too.
chisel as a guitar repair guy.
Yeah.
And it, like, you're absolutely right. At the Gallup thing, you were saying you wouldn't believe how much faster a sharp chisel is. Like, everybody thinks, like, you're saving time with a router or something like that, but it really is true. Like, a sharp chisel, even if you factor in the amount of time it takes to keep it sharp, like, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, like when we're doing back straps or whatever, you could set up a jig probably to do that with a router. But I mean, a sharp chisel's so fast. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. There's just
oh,
a lot of things. Oh,
we just got a couple more questions. A couple people are
okay.
asking you what brand Japanese chisels you're hot on.
Okay. So what I did first of all was I went out and got. Let me show you. Just an assortment of different chisels, different makers, different types of steel, just to see what I liked. Which I think, because committing to a whole set of Japanese chisels it's a big investment.
It is, yeah.
So I finally got this set, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. This is Kiyohisa, who was one of my favorite blacksmiths, who's in the game still. I found this knife, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, and the edge just got super sharp and stayed sharp forever. So I ended up ordering this set, and it took quite a long time to get. And nowadays it's even worse. I don't know if you can get anything from him these days, but these are great. Tasai is really good, and somewhat quite a bit easier to get than these.
Oh, can we look at that knife really quick? Does that have like
Yeah,
kind of a shape to it, or maybe I'm
a little bit of a curve. Is that
yeah,
what you're looking at?
dude, that's pretty. That's pretty. So you're a no handle guy, right?
Well, yeah, they all pretty much don't have handles.
So do you do
Yeah,
anything with double bevel, or you all single bevel?
I have one double bevel knife. This is Hisasaku. I bought this from the guy at his workshop in Tokyo
Uh huh.
one early morning after being up all night, and yeah, this double bevel, and this is Funahiro, who was just uh, he's like registered with the Japanese government as a living national treasure.
Just for making steel, huh?
Yeah, he mostly makes chisels and planes. So I got this knife a couple years ago. It's
Dude, look
pretty
at that
sweet.
thing. I can't even like I got a crappy reception here, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my god, come on!
Yeah,
Like it's so beautiful.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty
What
sweet.
what's okay? So if desert island, you're carving guitars out of palm trees. What's the one tool? What's the one chisel, knife, plane? What's the thing you couldn't live without in your shop right now?
Um, God, I don't know. Knives and chisels are probably what I use more than anything. Chisels are they're really versatile. There's a lot you can do with them. It'd be hard to pick just one.
You got to do it, Tim.
Just one?
It's just you and
Okay,
the volleyball on the island.
maybe the Ichihiro.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, Tim, I gotta say thank you for doing this. It's that hour just blew by like I knew it was gonna. Um, and I guess we'll have to do this again because I think I'm going to come up with more questions after we kind of settle out. So, but
Cool.
I want to appreciate you for doing this and for you know doing cool things. And as soon as this pandemic lifts, I'm going to have to get out to Oregon. We're going to have to go see what's what
Yes.
and
Yeah.
show you around my Oregon when I get out there.
I love that.
All right, man. Hey,
All
take
right.
care, Tim.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And next time I got some questions for you too.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, take care.
All right.